The second time we saw each other, well, unfortunately, I lost my head. The second time I saw the guy, he asked me to be his girlfriend, and I said yes.
You didn't even know each other, like, not even...
I didn't even know his name, didn't know anything about his life, nothing. He just said he lived in Liberto, that he was Christian or whatever, and I believed what he said, right? So I said, can I think about it? When he asked me to be his girlfriend, I said, can I think about it? He said, you have 5 minutes.
He said that?
You have 5 minutes. The moment he said that, I should have said right then and there. So my dear, I have the opportunity because I'm not going to give you an answer. If I had been as smart as I am today, but back then I was also blind and desperate for something different to happen, to prove to my father that I was a different person, that I was capable, that someone truly loved me, that's when I said yes. So I started dating him. Then I said, but you have to meet my father. So when I took him to meet my father didn't approve. But then I told my father, no, I'm going to keep seeing him. And he said, I don't see anything good in this guy. Then this sister Alucinea, she also has a very strong spiritual vision. She can see a lot of things that God shows her. But anyway, that's beside the point. So the trap was, you don't even know him. You're just jealous of me. You're envious because you wanted to date too. You know how it is with sisters. We're almost the same age, right? It's different with people. You're just jealous because you're not dating anyone. I don't know what she said, if it was bad, but I could see there was something wrong, something fishy, something dark about him, and you weren't seeing it. You were blind. No, I like him. I'm going to be with him. So I went against my father, against my sister, and started living with him. Then, after 2 months with his mother, he protects his family. When I met his family, that's when I cried for him. Even though his family is very calm, everyone is kind of Christian. Most of them are Christian, his sisters, most of them. And his brother is active in the church. Everything seemed genuine, all about God. People who are really good, I thought, this is it. But I didn't know he was the villain. No. He was the troublemaker in the house. It was him. So he was the wolf, right? And the family, no, my mother-in-law was so blessed, so calm, funny.
But nobody said anything?
They didn't tell me anything, but then they explained it to me. Look, but why didn't they tell me? Because it was a very serious matter. Because if they had told me, it was heavy stuff.
But they should have told you anyway, right?
Yeah, I should have just left and moved on. Although they say some things just have to happen, but I could have avoided that situation. But then I talked to my mother-in-law. My mother-in-law called me after she saw that the relationship was getting serious. She even said to me, look, do you really want to keep going with him? So I said, yes, I want to stay with him. She said, if you want to stay with him, then you need to ask about his past. And I'm not going to tell you. You should ask him, since you're the one who's going to marry him, why don't you? Question? I said, no, you're right. You are right. I'm going to ask him. So I went to ask him after about 2.5 months of dating. And my father, without agreeing, was going to date me. Things kept getting more serious and my father still didn't approve. But he accepted it. Thank you. It was like, I accept it, but I don't agree with it. Because he saw that I really wasn't going to stop. So he had to accept the guy coming over to our house, sitting on the couch. There was no way out. Then he said, look, I don't agree. But since you want to, you can continue. So what did I do? I brought him over. He talked to my father. My father invited me and I kept going. Then I said to him, hey, Carlos, I wanted to know about his past. He said, look, if you want to stay with me, never ask my past.
That's already a mistake, right?
I mean, where there are hidden things. God works with things that are brought to light, not with things that are kept secret. So there was already something demonic there. Because the hidden, God reveals what is hidden, right? But he wanted to keep it hidden. Darkness. There was already darkness. But spiritual blindness, neediness, and rebellion made me say, you know what? What matters is the present. What matters is that now he's calm, so it doesn't matter what he did in the past. No. But I didn't know that he wasn't delivered. He was living in that moment.
It's not even about the past, right?
It was really the present, a hidden present. At the right moment, he'll show his true colors, something like that. But since he wanted to get with a little virgin girl from church so young, he thought, no, I'll have to hold back. I'll have to pretend to be good now, to be a good man, at least to get what I want. To betray this little sister from church, right? Which is what most wolves do, right? They put on sheep's clothing to go after the church girls. So, after my daughter had been dating for about 3 months, I already set the wedding date. 3 months of dating, Marco, the wedding. There, Marco, the marriage, do you know how long ago? 5 months of dating. I didn't know anything about him, nothing. Then everyone said, guys, you're not going to get married, no way. Then my sister stood up. Oh, my sister got nervous and said, oh my God, what do I do with this girl? What am I supposed to do with her? hey guys, I have to do something. Then nearby, my father was desperate. My God, she can't marry this guy. This guy's weird. She can't marry him. And then his family noticed too, but they couldn't say anything, so they just let it go. My mother-in-law had warned me, I'm not going to your wedding. I'm not going to your wedding. I'll be on my knees praying. I don't even want to see your wedding. Just look at that. Guys, everyone was telling me. I was the only one who couldn't see it. I was the only one talking. Everyone. Just imagine me saying that. I'm not even going. That I'm not going to be part of something like that. And the person, if the guy's own mother says that.
My God.
I was blind, completely blind, totally blind. I just wanted to be free from my father. That was my mistake. I wanted to get away from my father no matter what. And I thought if I get married, I'll be free from him. And I'll even prove to him that there's someone who loves me. Look at this side of the devil. Blindness, poor thing. And when you're weak, it gets you, right? And that's it. Then there was a brother who lived near the house, who he revealed himself to be. The pastor lived near my house, and he would have revelations, just those backyard churches were the person themselves, but they would send me so desperate. We never really liked that much because we believe in revelations and all, but we don't quite agree with it. This thing about chasing after prophets, we think that if God wants to speak, he'll send a prophet to us. If you're in a service, God will raise someone up. God will send the person to you. But going around hunting for prophets is dangerous. Why? Because if you go around chasing prophets, you might end up getting a false prophecy, right? The prophet speaks, right? Then you might get a profetada telling you to get married. So just let it be. If God wants to do it, he'll make the person come to you. And it was at that moment that...
And then sacks in the loom, sacks in the loom.
Do you know what happened then? My daughter, at that moment, she said, let's do this, let's go. To that little backyard where the pastor who gives revelations used to hold services right in his own backyard. Those people who pretend to be Pentecostal and all that, they were fake. We thought that. We had our doubts. We didn't know. We found him kind of strange, but he never showed anything, you know. So we thought he could really be a Christian, but he was definitely odd. Then she asked me, if he says that God showed him it's not from God, will you break it off right now? Because my sister was desperate.
Yes.
Man, I'm going to have to take this pastor who lives near my house. That kiss with revelation. So do you know what happened? She took us there. And when she took us there, the pastor started to pray. Then suddenly the pastor said, my daughter, you should have been married already. This is so much from God. What God has joined together, let no man separate. Look at the devil. This is God bringing you together. The devil has nothing to say about it. My sister was desperate. It ruined things for my sister, who was our only chance. Now it's over for my sister. So I rooted for her. I told you it was from God. The blindness, I told you it was from God because everything is so happy. My daughter, later we found out, this pastor, do you know what happens to him? He goes to Rio de Janeiro. And in Rio de Janeiro, they kill him with I don't know how many shots. The pastor was actually a drug dealer who was running from Rio. He ran over there to escape from Rio, a heavy-duty drug dealer. So he wasn't a pastor at all. He said she went there to hide it from the police.
Yes.
Obviously, you can see that. Mercy. He was hiding out there. Look how dangerous that is. That's why I got that prophecy, right? If it were from God, it wouldn't have happened. It was already talking about your demon. Do you see a demon in your life? I said, before anything else, I'm going to pray for the demon to leave you gently because the blindness is just too much unless, but since it was the devil, right? He fooled me completely. I was blind. That's it. So we set the wedding date. My wedding was like a funeral. My father walked in with his head down and I had my head down almost crying because what doesn't have a blessing has a curse. What doesn't have obedience is a curse. So a marriage without blessing, without obedience is a curse. I didn't have my father's blessing, so I didn't have God's blessing. So everyone came in sad. There was a party and everything. But you know when something feels forced? So it was really bad. And my mother-in-law didn't even come. The wedding was really awful. That's it. That's how it started. After about 2 years or so, he showed who he really was.
How did it start? What happened?
I am who he was. At first, he would come home, my dear, bringing me roses. Then my father gave us the house next to his for us to live in. My father had his own house and another one next door. That house was like a place he would usually rent out. It was basically a small house, like a shack. So he let the two of us live there. Then after 6 months, I got pregnant with my son. Then I had Arthur. So my father let us live there. My father was crazy about my son, you know. Even to help take care of my son, it was better being close to him. At first, my dear, he would bring me roses, chocolates, pomegranates, wonderful things. He would look up at the sky and say, those stars are you.
I'll give you the stars.
I'll give you the
stars.
About death, right? about death. Then suddenly my daughter starts the fight. Suddenly the struggle begins. Then one day I was already feeling sick at home, suffering because he started coming home late. He started coming home late every day. And I started to get worried because he worked as a mechanic. I thought maybe he was fixing other people's cars out on the street and all that. The car broke down on the hill and everything. There was a stain at home. But then he started coming home every day at dawn. Then he even started coming home with grass and mud on his legs, on his clothes, like he had been running from someone. Then I started to get worried. Then I started saying goodbye. I don't know what's going on. Doesn't it seem like something is going on? Something. Then my father always said, the house is going to fall down. You're going to find out who this man really is. Get ready because the truth is about to. My father always said, the house is going to fall down. You're going to find out who he is. Oh, for what? That's it. It happened and that was that. Then one day I went to bed and he grabbed a bag. This was after he had already come home late several times. And he was all dressed up, everything neat and tidy. And I caught him with his tie on.
Look at that.
Everything just right. A real maniac. That's how maniacs are. You know that, right?
Maniac.
So he looked all put together. Everyone thought he was a family man. Everything in order. Because they hide, right? Actually. But the wrong things they do are always in the middle of the night. He grabbed a bag, put some things inside it, and wouldn't let me see. Then I thought, oh my God, what is this man doing? So I started to pray. I said, God, show me what's going on. But before that, I had already started a prayer campaign at my house with the sisters from the prayer group. Then I realized things were starting to get serious. I noticed he was coming home very late. His mouth was really dry and his eyes were very red. I never saw him smoking, but his eyes were very red and his mouth was very dry. I said, something is going on. So I started a prayer campaign at home. And when the sisters would arrive at the living room door, he would already run to the kitchen door. He would run away. He would leave and go straight out to the street. He couldn't stand being at home when the sisters came in because it was already the devil knowing that what he was doing was being revealed, right? God was going to show what was hidden. And I said, God, I can't take it anymore. The man came home in the middle of the night. So are we going to show what's happening now? Then God went ahead and started my daughter. And didn't he really show it? Then suddenly on that day, he grabs the bag and asks what's inside this bag. I said, I'm going to church over in that neighborhood. He said, but what are you taking in there? He said, that's none of your business. And he didn't let me see. Then around 11 o'clock at night, I was at home with my little boy, drinking. My son was still a baby and I started to feel unwell. 11 o'clock at night. And then I started to feel worse. I started to pray. I kept praying. I started saying, something is happening. I started saying something and something really was happening. I said that I'm sensitive in this area. God shows me things. So God was already showing me that something was happening. So there I was, my son, my father sleeping at my stepmother's house, right? There I was alone with my son. Then suddenly, my dear, he arrives around dawn. He comes in eyes wide open. He came in with his eyes wide open and said, let's go to sleep. I said, no, but why do you tell? What's the rush? What's going on? Is something wrong? He just wanted to go to sleep right away. So he lay down, but he would fall asleep right away. I don't know. Men are like that. They fall asleep right away. But this time he lay down and couldn't close his eyes. He was scared. I already thought that was strange. Something must have happened because he couldn't close his eyes. He had his eyes wide open, pretending to be calm, but he wanted me to stay quiet. Then at 3 a.m, someone called at the gate. So I said, hey, Carlos, someone's at the gate. Then the person was calling, Carlos, are you there? Calmly with that calm voice. I said, someone's calling you at the gate. He said, no, it must be someone needing my help. It's a car because he's a mechanic. So people would call him late sometimes because their car couldn't make it up the hill and he had to help. But still, 3 a.m, it was really strange, right? Okay, we were awesome, right? Who goes out at that hour anyway? Only criminals. Yeah, only criminals. So calling at the gate. Then I said, I'm going to see who it is. When I get to the window to look, I see the police at the gate, all of them with guns in their hands. Then I said, oh my God, Carlos, it's the police at the door. Then he said, don't answer, go inside and close the window, stay quiet. So I stayed quiet, I didn't lie down, I didn't stand up, and he stayed there in the bedroom not knowing what to do. Then the police were like, Carlos, we know you're in there. You can answer, we know you're in there. So I said, oh, Carlos, really, I'm going to have to answer because they know you're here. When I said that, he already started breaking down a window we had from a construction in the back, started smashing it and jumped to the other side. And when the police heard the noise of him escaping and I not understanding anything that was happening, I stayed in the hallway and my son was in the crib sleeping. My baby, my little boy in the crib sleeping. I think he was about 1.5 years old, more or less. The police started kicking the gate, started yelling, "Open this gate, Mom, now! Open the gate now, he's getting away." Then the police start shooting, girl. There were so many police officers. They started shooting in my backyard. And my son was inside, the little baby, and they started shooting at the wall, shooting to the other side. And I was in the middle of the gunfire, and they even hit my dog. My dog started screaming. They shot my dog. And it was chaos. What did I do in the middle of all that shooting? I ran. I managed to open the gate because I was nervous, shaking. I couldn't open it. The key kept falling until I finally managed to open it. I got the gate open. The police came in. Then other officers came in from below, already shooting to catch him in the back because they realized he had run to the back. Did the old lady die? No, I don't think she died. I think the money got to her, something like that. Oh my God, it seems like she didn't die. She didn't die. No, she didn't die. No, it looks like it was her foot. She didn't die, but she got hit. She screamed a lot, but it was a place where it couldn't kill her, you know. Yes, I grab my little son, just over a year old, and go out into the street with him in my arms. And I run over there. My father was sleeping upstairs. And I run over there and go upstairs to put my son down. Up there in my father's room. Then I started knocking on my father's door. My father had already heard the noise and came, right? Then I met my father holding my son in my arms. I said, "Dad, put him there with Mom," because I used to call her Mom, you know. Put him there with her and come, because things are getting serious here. Now things are really heating up. Come on, come here quickly. Let's go over there. He said, "Oh, has the house fallen?" I said, "Yeah." "Dad, the house has fallen." He used to say that to me every day. "The house is going to fall. You're going to find out what kind of man he is." And he didn't know anything. He just had a feeling, you know. He could feel it. I was blind, but he could feel it. And the prayer that was made at our house forgot to reveal the truth. The prayer campaign with the sisters from the Prayer Swan group, the devil can't handle it. With the Coco sisters, the devil doesn't stand a chance. He can't handle it and must reveal what he's doing. God reveals everything. It didn't even take long, right? It didn't take long at all. Then all of a sudden, the police come and start looking for him, and he runs away. Then the police come into my house and start throwing everything everywhere. They started throwing everything onto the mattress, looking for drugs. I've never seen this man smoking. And then the police said, "Calm down, ma'am, calm down." But what did he do? Someone was crying, shaking, desperate. "People, what did he do? Someone tell me, please, what did he do?" "Calm down. Will you believe it, ma'am?" "There's no point in telling you now. You won't believe it. We'll tell you in a moment. The lieutenant will talk to you." Then the lieutenant came. He had run away. My boy is with my father. My father was there. Then the lieutenant said, "Ma'am, it was around 11 o'clock at night, the time when I started feeling unwell. Your husband was trying to rape a young woman in the neighborhood." And so on. Oh my God, at that time. But he only didn't manage to rape her because when she went up the hill and he grabbed her and took her to the vacant lot, he started taking off her clothes, but he didn't know her brother was coming up behind. He thought she was alone. So when he grabbed her, her brother walked by and saw a man struggling with the girl in the dark, in the vacant lot, which is on their street. Then he ran to his house and said, "Mom, the younger one in charge is Patricia." Patricia arrived there, and then he said, "No, she didn't arrive." Then he came ready to kill my husband. He came blinded by rage. He had a sister. She was with me, a girl with curly hair, there in the dark, and she didn't get to her. Then he came in, and as soon as he got in, he went straight for my husband, and the two of them started rolling on the ground, started fighting. My God. Then the police said inside his bag, he had a blanket, a piece of blanket, a knife, and a rope. That's what he had put in the bag when he left. Pure evil, right? Pure evil. Whoever he was going to rape, he was going to Marco, right? To do something. I don't know what he was planning, but that's what he took. Oh, my daughter, suddenly he shows up at my house because he managed to escape. The guy was clever. So he was the one who showed up at my house. And it seems he went on foot. And it's quite a long distance. It seems he walked there at dawn. He arrived. He must have run. He was really tall, so he ran a lot. He got to my house at dawn. So at that moment, he was running from that guy. And then the guy went and called the police, right? But God is so good that besides taking those things, he also took the Bible. But in the Bible, he took, pretending he was going to church. He was pretending to go to church. There was his photo, the name of the street where he lived, the house number, everything, phone number, all the details. It's all there. That's how thorough it was.
So the police got him.
At the place where it happened, everything was showing his information.
That's why the police found the house, right? Your house.
This guy left everything ready for us. And he even went home too. Just look at that. But here, with all the prayers, God wasn't going to let him get away anymore. The prayers were for God to reveal what was happening. So even if he wanted to, he wouldn't have been able to leave anymore. At that moment, God was going to show what was happening. And so even though he ran off down there, at least I found out too, right? Didn't find out, but he doesn't want to believe his wife, doesn't want to believe it at all. The wife believes anything except for this. Otherwise, here I am, newly married to him. He took my virginity and then does this kind of thing with other women. No, anything else but not this. He took me as a virgin, did this to me. No, in our minds, you just can't. For him, it's just a piece of flesh. It meant nothing. That's it. He managed to escape being caught in the act. When someone escapes being caught in the act, the police can't arrest them. Then the police can only arrest after gathering evidence. So my father took me to that girl's house. It was very hard for me to have to see that girl. She was crying a lot. I talked to her. I felt really sad for the girl. Truly very sad for the suffering she went through. He didn't actually manage to violate her physically, but he violated her mind. So he destroyed the girl's mind. He was a scoundrel, really, with that girl. A monster, right? And then the girl stayed there. May God bless her. I don't know if you've been healed since I haven't seen you anymore, right? Talking about her, but may God bless her that she's been seeking healing, poor thing. And all of this happened because it was the devil who used him. And at that moment, his diary was full of demons. For someone to do something like that, there's no way they're not full of demons, right? A totally seared mind. And then I felt really sad for the girl. I felt sorry for her, honestly, and for her family. So the girl would act like this. She'd say, girl, don't stay with that man. That man is crazy and he's going to kill you. Poor thing, she would tell me. But I also had my own side. He was the father of my child. I married him and I was also afraid of him. So you see, I had a different story. It was a marriage, and we all know how divorce is. It's a struggle. My mind was in turmoil. I had just gotten married. I was practically on my honeymoon. A year and a bit, 2 years, I was still on my honeymoon with him. Kind of still in the honeymoon phase, living at the start of the marriage, you know. And then, my dear, after that, the police, he ran from being caught in the act. Then he went to my house. He came back to my house. And after that, he ran away. Then the police said, don't sleep here because he might come back and we don't know what state he's in. Sleep at your father's house. So I went to my father's house, slept there, and he really did come back. We saw the light turn on. He tidied up, put everything back in its place. The next day I went back and everything was neat. Everything that had been thrown around, he had fixed it all. He left everything nice and tidy. He left a letter for me saying, look, it wasn't me who did this. They're lying. Then he started acting like he was innocent. It wasn't me. It's their lie. They set me up. So since he was so clever, he said, but I would think, how does he know what he's talking about? So then he wrote in the letter, I heard them passing by. I was hiding. When I ran away from being caught in the act, I heard them walking by and talking. But how was he clever? Because I would think, how does he know if it wasn't him? What was going on? And for me, why did he run if it wasn't him? See, do you notice what a bunch of lies that is? Of course it was him. Then there's the Bible there with his picture and his bag, everything.
Yes.
But we as wives in that moment, our minds just shut down. We live in denial. It's true. We don't want to have anything because we suffer. So it's denial. It's the moment of denial. That's when then suddenly he ran away. That was sad. That part was very sad. It was the part when he came. He came back home. And it was the part where he said goodbye to my son. That hurt a lot. That part hurt because my son, he was already standing up, you know, almost 2 years old. Then he knelt in front of my son and looked into his eyes. With his bag, skinny, just skin and bones already. He was worn out. And I saw him in that state and knew it was all because of my disobedience.
But where was he going? To jail?
No, he was leaving, running away. Because at that point, he could still run away. Because the police couldn't arrest him yet.
Because he could go to the week.
Do you believe that when someone is do fraco, the police see them and don't arrest them? They say they can't. They can only arrest after they have real evidence. After the act of being caught in the act, they have to wait for more evidence to arrest. So they had to gather evidence. While they were gathering evidence, they couldn't do anything. So the police even pretend, oh, it's all fine, leave him, you can relax. But they know that sooner or later they'll catch him. You understand? The police just give him more rope, you know? So he kept denying it wasn't him. But then when he knelt down in front of his son, he said, Daddy loves you, but Daddy is leaving. Daddy is going to say goodbye to you. And at that moment, I felt sorry because my son started to cry. As if he understood, even though he was just a little child, then the tears started to fall. You know when you cry like that without making a sound? Just those tears of emotion? right? The tears started to fall from my son's little eyes. And when I saw that scene, him crying beside me with his life shattered, defeated because even though he was being used by Satan, the devil used him and everything, it was still a soul. There was a soul there that the devil was destroying, because I know it's very easy. Anyone who really hears my testimony thinks we had to kill. I know people think that way, but they also forget that there is a soul there who gave an opening to Satan. And then Satan takes advantage of the person's weakness and destroys their life. So he was destroying a father too. Someone who had a son, a husband whose mind was completely taken over. And for sure, it also came from resentment, because he has his own story too. At 16, he also left home and discovered the world at 16. Because his stepfather, he didn't get along with his stepfather. I don't know what happened there. He left home when he was 16. So he went out to see the world at 16 as well. Everyone has a story out there in the world. He suffered a lot too. He went hungry, went through a lot out in the world, out there in the big wide world.